Hi everyone and welcome back to another sewing tutorial. My name is Julia and today I'm going to show you how to make scrunchies step by step. Here is the basic size, great for everyday wear and easy to sew. And here is the mini size, super cute and perfect as a small accessory. It's a little bit trickier to sew, so I recommend starting with the basic size if you're a beginner. I made these scrunchies for my friend's bachelorette party as a gift for her besties, so you can add custom tags to your scrunchies to turn them into adorable handmade gifts or sweet thank you presents for your bridesmaids. To make the scrunchies, you will need to cut rectangles using the measurements shown on the screen for both the mini and basic size. Of course, you can also adjust the measurements and make any size you like. For the elastic, cut a piece that's about 20 cm long. I used flat elastic that's 4 mm wide, but you can use any width you prefer, up to 6 mm works well. If you prefer, you can download and print the ready-to-use pattern from the PDF linked below. Before we jump into the tutorial, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, it really helps me making more tutorials like this for you. Now let's get started. Start by cutting a rectangle of fabric for your scrunchie. Here I'm making a basic size, but if you are making the mini version, you will follow the exact same steps. Now fold the fabric in half, bringing the short ends together with right size facing and pin the edges in place. Now sew along the short edge using a 1 cm seam allowance to form a fabric loop. Open up the seam and press it flat with an iron, pressing from both sides of the fabric. Now that you have sewn your fabric into a loop, lay it flat on the table with the seam facing down. Take the top layer of fabric and fold it inward a little, just enough so you can see the raw edge on the bottom layer. Now take the bottom layer, the one with the seam, and lift it up, folding it over the top layer. Then line up the seams where they meet and pin them together right at the seam. You can use 1 or 2 pins to keep it secure. By now your fabric should look like a little sandwich with all the raw edges on the outside and the rest of the fabric folded and hidden inside. Now we are ready to sew at the machine. Start sewing along the raw edge where the pins are. Begin with a back stitch about 1.5 cm before the seam edge. Sew with a 1 cm seam allowance, but only sew through 2 layers of fabric at a time, not through the folded fabric inside. When you get close to the end of that length, stop sewing and lower your needle. Then gently pull more of the loop through the opening you just made. Then repeat the step, sewing and pulling the fabric through until you get back to where you started. Sew until you are about 2.5 cm away from the starting point, then back stitch to finish. You will have a small gap left open. Reach through the small gap and gently pull the scrunchie right side out. Now press the seam flat, pushing it all to one side so it stays visible on only one side of the scrunchie. You can use a pin to help pull the fabric at the edge if needed. Now cut a 20 cm piece of elastic. This length works for both the basic and mini size. The measurement already includes 2 cm for seam allowance, 1 cm on each end. Attach a safety pin to one end of the elastic. Gently push the pinned end into the fabric tunnel and start feeding it through. While you pull, hold on to the other end of the elastic with your hand so it doesn't slip inside and get lost. Once the elastic is inside the tunnel of your scrunchie, leave about 1 cm on each end and tie a knot. Start with a loose knot and try the scratches on your wrist to see how it feels. If the scrunchie feels too tight, slide the knot a little to make the elastic longer and more comfy, but if it feels too loose, pull the knot to make the elastic short and add snugger. Once you're happy with the fit, pull the knot tight to keep it secure. The last step is to close the gap, so find the opening and mark it if needed with tailor's chalk or fabric pen. Top stitch close to the edge to close it and remember to backstitch at both ends to lock your stitches. And that's it, your scrunchie is all done. You can follow the same steps to make the mini scrunchie too. Just keep in mind that sewing the tube will be a bit trickier with the smaller size, so it's a good idea to practice with the basic size first. I hope this tutorial made the process easy and fun to follow. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video with the other sewing friends. If you have any questions or need more tips, feel free to leave a comment below. Happy sewing and I will see you in the next tutorial.